right, so today I'm going to continue with my Monopoly playlist, right? So I was making a board game. I started out with some dice, and I thought that was cool, and I just kept adding to it. I got down to 11. Roblox, Monopoly, buying properties, and paying rent. Let's continue. Let's make number 12. So I'll put this link in the description if you want to see the other ones. But if you want to start right from here, you can do that. Just go to this link. I have another tab open. This link, I'll put it in the description. Hit these three dots, hit edit, and then I already opened it up. You're going to get this exact game right here. I saved it off as 12 railroad video because today we're going to work on the railroads. All right, so if you want to take a look at the railroad, we are in workspace and then game board. Let's open that up. And under tiles, we have rail, right? BO railroad. And then this one here, I'm gonna hit the Alt button and then click. This is Reading Railroad. So I'm gonna decorate these with code just like I did with all my lots. So when we start the game, things get decorated. But I'm gonna build one out by hand first and then just do the other four with code. So let's go to our railroad, Reading Railroad. That's a good one to do. Hit the plus, and we use a surface GUI, SU for surface, surface GUI, all right? And make sure it's on the top. So we have our surface GUI. Let's look at face. It's on front. Let's go to top, and there's on the top. We can't see. We need to put a UI element on that. And let's go ahead and put a frame on it. So the frame is tiny. Let's go ahead and make that bigger. Where is my size for the frame? Oh, click frame. And I'm not going to name these because I'm actually going to delete these two. I just want to get the specs for my code. Position is good, 0, 0, upper left corner. Size, I'm going to make that 1 for the X, comma, 0 for pixel offset on the X, 1 for the Y, that's the scale, 0 for the pixel Y, right? And that's 100% on the X and the Y. That's what that translates to. So now we have a frame. And when we go to run the code, there's already functionality to add titles, and there's functionality to add price. But we want a little picture of a train. So I found a little picture of a train, and I saved it off. Where's it? Here we go. I saved it off right here. I'll put this link in the description. You can go ahead and get this for yourself. And then this will say get. You go ahead and get this, and then you'll have it in your inventory, right? So pretend I just hit that green button, and then we're gonna go back to our game. We're gonna open up our toolbox, and here's your inventory right here. Just go to my images, and you'll see the train. See, I got a bunch of images I saved off. All right, so you see your train. Let's go ahead and right click on that, copy asset ID. Now we want to put a picture of it right here. I think I'm going to hit the plus sign, get an image label. There we go, image label. And then look for image in the image label. Do a Control V when you click on it. You're going to get that asset ID that I just copied. Look at that, you got a little tiny train. So we need to position and size our image label. Now let's name it too. Let's call it train image label, because I am going to save this. I'm going to put it in server storage, so when we get to a train, tile, we can put our image label on there for the train. All right, let's see what we got. Image label. We want to look at the position. Oh, let's anchor it in the center of our image, our little image label thing. So we'll do 0.5 and 0.5. That makes the anchor point the center of the image label. It kind of moved up to the corner. What we got to do is on position, do 0.5 on the X, 0 pixel offset, 0.5 on the Y, 0 pixel offset. Boom, now it's in the center. Let's make it bigger too. So I picked out some sizes. It was 0.6 on the X for the size, for scale, 0 pixel offset, 0.4 on the Y, and 0 pixel offset. Yeah, there we go. That looks pretty good. And What I'm going to do is I'm going to make the background of the train, of the icon for that train, transparent. So let's, with the train image label selected, go up to background transparency. I can make this a little bigger so you can see it. Background transparency, 1. Right, it didn't change much, but if you had a different color frame, it would. Cool. Now this is what we need. And then we just have to remember what we did for our frame too, but that's going to be easy enough. Let's go down, grab your image, your train image label, and look for server storage. We're going to plop it in there, right? We only have a thrown event. That's a bindable event. I use that for the dice. And we're going to store our train image label right here. Cool. Now we don't need this anymore. Let's go ahead and delete it. Surface GUI and frame can go. Make sure you have your prop type though. Let's look at that really quick before we get into our code. Prop type is just basically a string value that says what type of property is. This one says rail, so all my rail says rail. If you go to like Pacific Avenue, open that up, that prop type is lot, right? So buyable lots, but we're going to be able to buy rail too. So that's good. Just keep this in mind. Rail. All right. So we have a lot of our game functionality in this board utils, which is a module script. Let's open that up. All right. So there's a lot going on here. It's pretty scary. I need server storage because I need to build my rail tiles. So I'm going to look for, I looked at replicated storage. I think I'm going to put my server storage right underneath it. Local SS, game, get service, server storage, right? So our rail train image label is in there and we need that. Let's take a look at some of this stuff down here. We have our community chest table for our cards. It's not fully implemented, but there is some stuff for like getting money that you can still get. We have our chance table. We have a shuffle routine for shuffling our cards for our chance on our community chests. Let's see what else we got. Let's take a look at set up lots, right? I should have made that more of a general name, but I didn't. And here, if we have a lot, this is how we decorate it. We have a surface GUI, we got a frame, we change the background color, we put a label for the name, and we put a label for the price. That's pretty close to what I want for my rail. So what I'm going to do is I'm actually going to do this. I'm going to copy this, Control C. I'm going to say if prop type value equals lot, or Control V, prop type value equals rail. Let me put that on a new line so you can see it. There we go. And maybe I'll put this then down here too, right? So this is the whole if then statement. So now if the prop type value is a lot or the prop type value is a rail, we're going to do all of this stuff. I'm going to get rid of this print though. I don't need that. Print, it was just printing out the lot names. Cool. There is going to be a few modifications though. So I think I'm going to copy this, Control C. I'm going to go down to the bottom, right? I'm going to do a little if statement for specifically if it's a lot. Then I'll do another one specifically if it's rail. Control C, boom, and that's rail, right? And yes, I did not design this. I am just doing this as I go along. So if I code myself into a hole, I got to code myself right out of it. No, that's called refactoring. If you get to the point where you know that your design needs some changes, but you want the functionality to be the same, that's called refactoring. Managers hate it. All right, so let's go back. Let's take a look at what we got. This surface GUI is going to be great just the way it is, right? We need it on the top. That's the normal ID. Remember how to change it to the top. The frame, the position is going to be slightly different, and so is the size. Let's go ahead and do a right click, cut it from here. Let's go down here, paste. Cool. So that's for the lot, right? And now let's paste again. And I want to change my frame position to the upper left corner because I don't want that little color tile on the top, right? With like red or yellow or whatever for Marvin's Gardens. Frame size, I want it to encompass the entire tile, the entire top of the tile. This one is only 80%. It's shifted down a little bit so you can see the color of the tile. All right, what else do I need to do? Not too much. I want to change the color a little bit. Oh, you know what I'm going to do is I'm going to make the color of the tile itself white. And then I'm going to say frame background transparent or background color 3. No, let's just make it back. Let's just do the transparency. Let's do background transparency. We're going to change it on the tile, change the color of the tile of 1. Right? That way the frame is just holding the components. It's not actually coloring anything. We need our icon, right? So let's get our icon, the little train icon we put in server storage. So server storage, wait for child, train image label, and then I'm just going to clone it right from there. Clone. Cool. We can move this a little bit so you can see more of the code. And now we have to attach it to the frame. Icon FRM. Oh, icon equal parent, sorry. Icon equal parent will be the FRM. Cool. And we don't have to actually resize the icon or position it or re-anchor it and stuff because we save that off in server storage. So all that is already saved on our icon itself. All right, that looks pretty good. Let's take a look at the board real quick. And I want to change the color of my tiles because when I go to buy it, I send the color of the tile as kind of a visual indicator of the person buying the property. And these are usually white in the game or whitish. So let's look at Reading Railroad. I'll make it this color right here. What is that? Pearl or something? Pearl. Cool. And then here's Pennsylvania. That's over here. Let's make that the same color. And that's Pennsylvania Railroad. Short Line Railroad. There it is. Make that white. Cool. And now where's the other one? Oh, B&O up at the top. B&O Railroad. White. Cool. All right, that looks good. We could do a trial run, but we're missing a little bit of data. All right. So we got our setup lots all set up. I'm going to get rid of that extra space there. We don't need it. I'm going to get rid of this extra space. Looks good. It won't affect your game if you didn't do that. So we got this create board. It's got all the data for our tiles, but we don't have anything for railroads. So we need to change that. I'm going to make this, I don't want to make it smaller because it's already really hard to see, I bet. So on my 6th element, Reading Railroad, I'm going to put a title, right? And the title is going to be Reading Railroad, right? I guess you could have guessed that. We'll say speech quote, Reading, and then this /n is a new line character. So it's going to break our title into 2 lines. You should remember that because that's in like every other programming language for /n. It means new line. So I'll call this railroad for the title. What else do we need? We need a price. And I looked it up. It's 200, right? I'm going to write owner here, and then I'll make it nil. So in the game itself, it will actually remove this element from the table if it's nil, but it tells other programmers, hey, we got a value here that we're going to use. We're intending on using it. So I'm putting that more for a comment. I lost my little curly bracket. There we go. So I'm on the 2nd line. And what else do we need? We got our price. We got our owner. Oh, rent, if you land on it. It's $25. And now on our lots, we have these H1, H2, H3, H4, and this is actually a hotel if you have H5. These are for houses. Now the price goes up with the house, but the rail is a little different in some ways. The price goes up the more railroads you own. So I want to use that same notation, even though it's not a house. We might refactor it. So if we have an extra rail, we're going to consider that a house. We'll say that's 50, and I looked it up in the game. House 2, it's 100. That's how much you pay if you land on it. House 3 is 200. Now, number of houses is actually going to be the number of rail. We may have to refactor and give that a more sensible name, but it's easy enough to remember. I'm not going to do H cost. I think that was for, oh, the cost of the house, right? We don't need H cost because you got to land on a rail in order to get it. You're not going to buy houses. So we won't use that. We'll have the mortgage, right? So you can mortgage your rail. Cool. Now this is going to be easy-ish. I'm going to go right after Reading RR. I'm including the comma. I'm going to copy this. Control C. I'm going to look for all my rails. So here's one on 16. Get rid of that little curly bracket before you do a paste. Go ahead and do a right click paste or a Control V. There we go. Change this to Pennsylvania. Pennsylvania. That's a hard name to spell. All right, and then let's keep going. There's BORR. That's B&O Railroad. Control V. B&O Railroad. Did I miss one? Short line. Here we go. Get rid of that curly bracket. Control V. There we go. And this is short line. Short line. Cool. Now we have all the info that we need to take a look at our board. Let's go ahead and run this. Right? We can't play it yet because we would have to do that under the test server because we need 2 players. And we can't buy the property yet. I want to buy the property yet. All right, so there is our little railroad. Let's check for errors. Output, we don't have any errors. That's cool. All right, we can get rid of that for now. We got our short line. Oh, well, I'm on the other side of the board. Short line. And then this one's Reading. That's cool. That doesn't look too bad. All right, this one is Pennsylvania. Cool. And B&O. All right, that's looking good. Every 5th tile, right in the center. Cool beans. Got a few more things to do for purchases. Let's turn this off. All right, so when we do our purchases, we're going to have down here, I know this is big. We have this land on tile action. I'll go ahead and delete that. This is a print statement. I don't need it anymore. It's for checks. All right, land on tile action. If we take a look here, we're waiting on the player to make a move. See how this is an infinite loop? And then it'll break with the player response. We're using a remote event. If the player leaves, we're going to be kind of out of luck. So we're going to have to put a timer on that. And I use that all the time. So keep in mind, that is something that needs to be fixed. All right, so here we have our community chest, and we got a little loop. We got our chance, we got a little loop down here, right? We got a lot, right? And we can buy stuff. Oh, and we're waiting to see if he's going to purchase it or not. Well, you know what? We're going to purchase rail too. So I'm going to say else if prop.value equals lot or prop type dot value equals rail, right? At this point, we don't have houses and stuff implemented yet. This is close enough where if we just put this here, we'll be able to buy that railroad just like we'd be able to buy a house. That's good. All right, you know what else? It's getting kind of unwieldy knowing what we're purchasing. So I think next video I'm going to do a UI for who owns what properties. But let's go see if we could buy one of these right now. All right, let me see here. Do I need anything else? You know what I'm going to do? I don't want to take a chance on rolling forever because it's a video. So I'm going to go down to my server script service, game manager, and where we take our turn, we have dice rolling, right? And then this is where we do our roll. We wait for the player. Once again, we have to put a timer on that in case the player quits, rage quits or something. And then I'm going to hard value the roll. I'm going to change it even after we roll to a 5. Cool. Now we can go ahead and play this. We should be able to buy properties, be able to buy railroads. Let's go to test, 2 players. That's what I have as minimum. And we have that minimum up here in the game manager. Players needed is 2. Which reminds me, we're going to have to do another thing. We're going to have to put a lobby in front of this. And that way we can open this up as a reserve server for the players. That's going to be cool too. Let's go ahead and get this thing going. I'm going to pause it because it takes a while. All right, so we got one of the players going, the other one's starting up. Let me just go ahead. So we got teleported. Oh, this guy's here. Let's go ahead and roll. Maybe this one will start up. Oh, you know I got to look for it, don't I? Here it is. There we go. Let's roll. And it should be a 5 because we hard-coded a 5. Cool. Do you want to buy Reading Railroad for $200? So let's look at, we're what here? This should go down to 1,300. Oh, I guess we're this guy. We're 1,300. And now when we land on it, this guy should pay rent. It's like 25. So his will go down to 1475. His will pop up to 1325. Cool. Player 2 owns Reading Railroad. Pay 25. Ah, look at that. So this one went up by 25. This one dropped or this one went up by 25. This one dropped by 25. That's looking pretty good. I actually went through and tried it on all of them. This should work fine. I will test it again before I put it up there. But next video, let's have a UI where we can open up and see what properties we own.